Welcome back, everyone. Good to see you all. About a month ago, I got given a little bit of a hard time in the comments for wearing a dry suit on a lake. With fall falling quickly over North America, let's talk about dressing for immersion. Let's talk about safety gear. Let's talk about safety third. Let's go. Okay, it wasn't too hard of a time that this person gave me. I think it was meant mostly joking, but it went back and forth 6 or 7 times as to why I wear a dry suit on a lake. So here is the answer. Let's get to this right away. Dress for immersion. Air temperature is meaningless, right? This person said, oh, you're wearing something you would wear in the Arctic, not on a lake in North America, to which my response was, I don't think you've ever worn a dry suit. Dry suits do not keep you warm. Dry suits keep you dry. You can adjust what is under them based on the temperatures that you're dealing with, but you have to dress for immersion. When I was doing the video about the floating of the PFDs, I spent a fair amount of time on PFD manufacturers' websites. A bunch of them said dress for immersion. You absolutely have to dress for immersion. And it doesn't have to be a dry suit. I love my dry suit. I love it. But you don't have to wear a dry suit. You could do a wetsuit. You could do dry pants and a top. Tons of options, but you have to dress for immersion. I bought that in 2009 or 10, preparing for the Inside Passage. So that is a very old dry suit. It has been back to Kokatat 3 times for repairs. Usually it's just a pressure test and some small patches to keep it airtight. It has had its gaskets replaced once. It has never cost me more than $125 to have work done on that. That dry suit was expensive when I bought it, but if you think about over the course of years, worth every penny. Some outdoor organizations use the 120 or 125 degree mark. The 120 degree rule is the air and water temperature combined. I think that is a good thing to have in the back of your head, but I think it's a pretty flawed system. If you've got a 70 degree day and 50 degree water, you're at 120 degrees, you should be fine, except that 50 degree water is really cold. So that's the big flaw with the system. I have paddle places with 70 degree air and 50 degree water, and you may not want to put on a dry suit when it's 70 degrees out, but that 50 degree water is a life threat. Immersion in really any water, like I think of it as like below 80, is going to be shocking, right? Your body temperature is 98 degrees, give or take a degree or two here or there. If you're 98 degrees and you get in 80 degree or 78 degree water, that's going to be surprisingly cold, and that will ruin your day. So 50 degree water, 40 degree water, I've paddled in it many times, and I always take precautions. One of the things that I learned, like a big takeaway for me working as a medic and an EMT, was shit happens when you least expect it. You have to be able to take some precautions in terms of protecting yourself, even if the odds are slim. So the likelihood of me going for a swim on my local lake when I'm paddling in January are pretty slim. But that doesn't mean I don't take the necessary precautions and wear my dry suit. Okay, to illustrate this, let's play a little game. Video 1. Is this a lake or the ocean? Video 2. Is this the lake or the ocean? You never can tell, and it doesn't matter. What matters is the temperature of the water. As soon as my feet hit water and my brain goes, ooh, that's cold, I put on a dry suit. I may start with fewer or thinner layers beneath this, but for most of the year, I am wearing mid-weight base layers, tops and bottoms under my dry suit, and a pair of thin socks under the booties, which are then going into my regular paddling shoes. Those are all, I think, the right precautions for me, and some form of that precaution I think is right for most paddlers who are paddling all year. And if you paddle in the summer, you should paddle in the winter. I've done videos about it. It's amazing. You should paddle all winter. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about safety third. Safety third does not mean that safety is your third priority. Safety third means that you are taking responsibility for your own safety. Now, that doesn't mean if I go paddling with a group, I'm not going to be looking out for the people in the group with me, but it means that I am taking the necessary precautions. I am not planning on someone else being there to come and rescue me when the poo hits the fan. Safety third is saying you are responsible for you. Safety third, I've done a whole video about. It comes from Mike Rowe, the Dirty Jobs guy, who realized on season 2 they were getting way more injuries, and the reason was that they were getting complacent. You cannot get complacent. Complacency will have you end up swimming in cold water. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the precautions that I take besides a dry suit for when I'm paddling in winter. The single most important thing is that when I go paddling, I'm telling someone where I'm going to be, how I can be reached, and when I'll be off the water. If they don't hear from me, you should call the police. So for the local lake that I'm on, local police is perfectly adequate. They'll figure out the best way. They'll find my vehicle. It won't be that hard to track me down. But your location may vary. If you're on national park land or something like that, you should know who the responding body would be, and that's who you should direct them towards. Regardless of weather or location or anything like that, the stuff in my PFD stays the same all year long. I carry a personal locator beacon. Would I use this on the lake? Probably not, but it's in there regardless. All of these things are in there regardless. For the same reason that I used to use 3 first aid kits when I had a first aid kit specifically for my hiking pack, specifically for paddling, specifically for mountain biking. If I'm moving it from one to the other, chances are when I really need it, I'll forget it. So every time it comes with me, regardless, I don't have to think about it. I really love this nice metal rescue strobe. It is super nice. It's way more durable than the plastic ones that I've used in the past. I am a huge fan of this guy. This is a Fox 40 whistle. I'm laughing because the carabiner it was connected to is garbage. It doesn't really work. I need to replace it. I could probably replace these too. Indicator that these are wet. But this is a Fox 40 whistle. It used to be the loudest whistle in the world. It is no longer advertised that way, which means someplace there is a more ridiculously loud whistle. If you blow this whistle, your ears will ring. It is probably why I have tinnitus my entire life. Someone that I was giving a private lesson to recently asked, hey, but why do I carry a whistle? And the reason you carry a whistle is you can blow it way louder and way longer than you can yell for help. Super simple thing. This is like $5. It lives in your PFD all year long. I carry a knife. I used to carry it on the chest of my PFD. I have stopped doing that. As I was preparing to work for Knowles again, they don't want knives or locking carabiners on the outside of the PFD. They want them inside. I made those additions to be compliant with their rules. This is in need of a replacement. It is getting rusty, even though it's designed not to rust. They still rust, particularly in salt water. And also the rubber coating on this is coming off. I think I need a new one of these. Yeah. Finally, I always carry a compass in my PFD. I also have a compass mounted on my boat on long trips, but this way I've always got one. I've never needed it, but it's nice to have just in case. And then this isn't counting things like sunscreen and a small notepad, stuff like that. Oh, there is one more important thing. I carry a chemical light stick in my PFD, just in case. It's another light source. It doesn't take batteries. It'll last for about 8 hours or so. Yeah, it's a really good sort of backup safety thing and fits easily in a PFD. So all of those things are in my PFD all year. I don't have to think about, well, this week I'm paddling here. What do I need in my PFD? I am all about keeping systems simple so that you're less likely to forget something. Okay, that's my diatribe on dressing for immersion, safety third, having the gear you need for winter paddling. You should absolutely be paddling all winter. Leave a float plan with someone. If you don't have a float plan or you want like a printed out version, I sell one down on Coffee. It's $1. It's the kind of thing that I really want in people's hands. The $1 just sort of keeps the machine working. You can find all my stuff on Coffee. Links are below, gear lists and all sorts of stuff are down there. The food planning sheet is down there, all sorts of stuff, links to my books. My books are also available on Amazon. Okay, I gotta race out of town to go teach a wilderness first aid course. I'll see you outside.